Hey guys, what's up? My name is Dom. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new to my channel, I typically make bookish content, movie content, and anything else in between because I like to do whatever I want on this channel, and today's going to be bookish content. For today's video, we're going to have a long overdue book haul. This has been months in the making. I want to say like from back in like May, because I remember buying a lot of these books in June, but I had some books in May and I just kept buying. I have no room for this, but I couldn't stop myself. And because there's so much to discuss, let's just get started. So the first book I want to talk about is Uzumaki by Junji Ito. I've never read Junji Ito before, but I heard he's like the master of horror when it comes to manga. A lot of people have read his work. I have not, and I really want to dive into it. So I bought this. Plus it's getting an anime next year, which is another reason I wanted to read it. And this is just literally about a town that's haunted by a pattern, spirals, which is what Uzumaki means. And that's it. That's literally the synopsis on the back of the book. So I have nothing else to say. I have seen some of Ito's art before, and it is very creepy. So I'm interested to see how horror is going to work in manga. Usually I don't find horror books that scary, but I think if I have like visuals and I don't have to create the visual myself in my head, it'll be better. And I'm really excited to dive into this because I heard this one specifically is terrifying, and people say all the time like, who knew spirals could be scary? Then the next book is also by Junji Ito, and that is Guillo. And this is just about a fish, apparently, yeah, a strange legged fish appears in the scene, and it's a town is just terrified. Like, these synopses in the back of these books are very, very short, so I wish I could expand upon that. But again, Junji Ito, I've seen his art before, it's scary. I haven't heard a lot about this one. I know a lot of people love Uzumaki and Tomie, but I have not heard a lot about this one. I do want Tomie, I just don't have it. Barnes & Noble didn't have it, it wasn't online. Hopefully I can get it before Halloween, because I do want to read these Ito works during the Halloween season. And the next book I'm hauling is The Desolations of Devil's Acre by Ransom Riggs. This is the 6th and supposedly the last book of the Miss Peregrine series. I am saying supposedly because I know the 3rd book was supposed to be the last one, and then he decided to continue the series. I hated the 5th book. I really enjoyed the other 3 books, or the other 4 books, I should say. The 4th being my favorite. I thought it was the greatest of them all, so I was excited for the 5th, and I hated it. But the reason I bought this is because I just didn't want to like give up on the series. I made it that far. I have to know the end. I don't have high hopes for this book because there's just so many things bothered me about the 5th book, and then I read the synopsis for this one, and it's that trope I'm not really a fan of where something like happens and then suddenly the character is somewhere else, but they don't know how they got there. And I don't really like that. I think that's like a cheap shot to get out of writing something. Who knows? I hope this is the last one, because personally, despite liking the 4th book, I truly didn't think this series needed to be expanded upon, especially because the ending to the 3rd book wrapped things up very nicely. But if you don't know what the Miss Peregrine series is about, it's about this boy who meets these peculiar children, and by peculiar, I mean they all have little like special abilities, I guess. Like, his love interest is a firebender. She could wield fire from her hands. One of his friends floats, one is invisible. So it's stuff like that. They live in these things called loops, which like one loop is one single day of a specific year. You'll get a better explanation if you actually read the book, but yeah, that's what it's about. The next book I got from a free little library, and like going through the pages, it's from some person named Robson, so thank you, Robson. I could see all your notes. That is 100 Years of Solitude by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. This book is about the rise and fall of a mythical town called Macondo, and it's through the history of a specific family. It's through their point of view. That's all the synopsis on the back really says. I know this is a classic, and it's a well-loved classic, and somehow I never read it. A few of my friends had to read this in high school, and I escaped high school without having to read this. So when I saw it at the free little library, I picked it up, and I will get to this one day. The next 3 books are all related to one another. That is Death Note Black Edition Volume 4, Death Note Black Edition Volume 5. I did that backwards. Oh my god, you guys. Okay, cut, and scene. So, what I meant to say. Right? Okay, I'm losing it. Death Note Black Edition Volume 4, Death Note Black Edition Volume 5, and then Death Note Black Edition Volume 6. And this series is by Sugumi Oba, and the art is by Takashi Obata. That means I finally have the completed set of Death Note Black Edition. It took forever to find Volumes 5 and 6. I'm not really sure why, but they were gone from Amazon for a while. Barnes & Noble nowhere near me had them in stock. They just disappeared, so I was scared they weren't going to be published anymore. But eventually I found them on Barnes & Noble, so I got them. This means I can finally start the series. I've been wanting to read this series since high school when I first watched the anime. I've seen the anime twice now. I got the first volume for Christmas three years ago, and I finally completed my set so I could finally read it. Also, if you don't know what the series is about, it's pretty popular by now, but just in case you don't know, this story takes place in Japan and it's about a guy named Light Yagami. He is bored, but then one day he comes across a notebook called a death note, and he reads it, and what a death note is you write a person's name in it and they die of a heart attack, I think like 5 minutes later, unless specified otherwise. If you just write their name, they die of a heart attack. But if you write their name and specify a way for them to die, that is how they will die. And it's all because a Shinigami, which is the which is a death god basically, got bored, so he purposely dropped his death note to see which human would pick it up. Light finds it fascinating, so he writes down the names of criminals. He thinks he's doing a good thing for the community, and this whole series is just like his psychological downfall, essentially. You know that trope that says you become the thing you feared most? That's essentially what this series is about. I am always here for a good villain origin story, which is what Death Note essentially is, and I think that's why I like it so much, so I'm excited to actually be able to read it, because I know there's some differences between the manga and the anime, and I'm excited to see what those differences are. The next two books are also related to one another. It's a duology. I think it's only a duology. I don't know if it's actually extending. But that's The Rise of Kiyoshi and The Shadow of Kiyoshi by F.C. Yee. This series is related to the Nickelodeon show Avatar: The Last Airbender. If you've been here for a while, you know that is like my favorite show of all time. This book is basically the origin story of Avatar Kiyoshi, who was the Earth Kingdom Avatar before Aang. She quickly became a fan favorite from what I remember, and the reason I'm finally excited to read these books is because 1, more Avatar content, 2, these have been out forever and I've somehow missed them. 3, the way the fandom talks about Kiyoshi and characterizes her is actually different from like canon material. Like, people always talk about her as being this violent avatar all for killing. If you watch the show, she tells Aang, without justice there is no peace. So a lot of people interpreted that as saying, yeah, that's why you need to kill Ozai. When according to canon material, that's not necessarily what she was saying. She's very much like an end justifies the means, I guess is what people were saying. So if that means killing Chin the Conqueror, she's gonna kill Chin the Conqueror. If it means letting him live and go through a different sentence, then he's going to live and go through a different life sentence, so to speak. And I'm just excited to see her story. My friend said it's actually very sad beginnings. I did get some minor spoilers against my will, and I'm excited to see more of her story. Next is The Only Good Indian by Stephen Graham Jones. But what this story is about, it's about 4 Native American men who, I think it's a disturbing event from their youth puts them in desperate struggle for their lives. There's an entity that's based on revenge that's trying to attack them. Their culture and traditions come into play. I've heard nothing but great things about this book, and I'm excited to read it. I will be reading it hopefully around the Halloween time. I have a lot of books picked out for the Halloween season, and I hope I can get to them all. I don't know. I just got like a new job, and I'm realizing how exhausting it is already. Every time I come home, I just don't want to do anything. So hopefully I can get off my ass and finally read this book. I feel like everyone on BookTube read this book and not me. Next is The Phantom of the Opera by Gaston Leroux. I think a lot of us know what this is about by now, but yeah, it's about a guy who basically runs the show at his opera. He doesn't really like what the new people are doing, and there's that woman he really likes, and he's like, ooh, you're gonna be in my opera. This is what that famous musical is based on. I love that musical. It's actually one of my top 3, which I know is a cheesy choice. I want to react to the movie for the Halloween season, and I think I'm gonna react to the silent version. I don't like the newer version with Gerard Butler, and I think her name's Emmy Rossum. I think the singing in that movie is terrible, so I don't like it. But I want to react to the silent film because a lot of people requested it after I watched Nosferatu last year. So I thought, let's read the book because it's been on my Goodreads TBR for like 5 years now. Next is Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. Daphne du Maurier. I think it was last year someone requested for me to react to Rebecca by Alfred Hitchcock. So I wanted to read the book first because again, this has been on my Goodreads TBR for years. And because I do book to movie adaptations on this channel, usually, like for Halloween, I kind of went off of that. I just wanted to watch what I wanted to watch, but I thought, why not react? Because I heard Alfred Hitchcock does make a lot of changes, so I hope that doesn't skew my opinion on that movie, because people take it to heart when you don't like an Alfred Hitchcock film, because I saw The Birds and I didn't like it, and a lot of people didn't like my commentary because of that. So I've learned my lesson from that. Even if you don't like a movie, do not post the reaction because people will get mad at you. So hopefully I actually do like this movie because it is one of the movies I'm reacting to this Halloween. Next is Parable of the Sower by Octavia E. Butler. Let me read the back for you because there's a lot of information that's important. I don't want to miss any. But when global climate change and economic crises lead to social chaos in the early 2020s, California becomes full of dangers, from pervasive water shortages to masses of vagabonds who will do anything to live to see another day. 15-year-old Lauren Olamina lives inside a gated community with her preacher father, family, and neighbors, sheltered from the surrounding anarchy. In a society where any vulnerability is a risk, she suffers from hyper-empathy, a debilitating sensitivity to others' emotions. Precocious and clear-eyed, Lauren must make her voice heard in order to protect her loved ones from the imminent disasters her small community stubbornly ignores. But what begins as a fight for survival soon leads to something much more, the birth of a new faith and the startling vision of human destiny. This sounds like it's going to be a wild ride. I bought this because Olivia over at Olivia Savannah loves Octavia E. Butler, and every time she talks about one of Butler's books, I want to read it more and more. This happened to be the one that was at Target when I went to go book shopping. As you could see, it was 20% off because they always put these stupid stickers on their books, and I'm afraid to peel them off in fear I will ruin said book. But yeah, I'm excited to read this. It will be my first Octavia E. Butler book. I have 4 books that are all related to one another. We got Attack on Titan Volume 1, Attack on Titan Volume 2, Attack on Titan Volume 3, and Attack on Titan Volume 4. These are all by Hajime Isayama. I absolutely adore the anime. If you're new here, I started the anime in February. I caught up to episode 70 in 2 weeks, and then I had to wait for the last 5 to premiere every Sunday because there is no reason for me to be binging series the way I do, and yet here I am. So I decided I'm going to start collecting the 34 volume long manga, and I bought the first 4 impulsively. At first, I was going to hold off. But then I was at Barnes & Noble. I was having a really bad time, so I was going through retail therapy, and I was like, no. I had the 3 books on my list that I'm going to buy, and I'm only going to buy those 3 books. I walked out with 9 books, and these were 4 of them. These were an impulsive buy. I've always wanted to collect the manga, just not right away, because I have so many other manga to catch up on. I want to finish Tokyo Ghoul Re. I only have 1 volume left, but I want to buy the box set, and I want to buy the Demon Slayer box set. Obviously, Death Note was another series I was planning on buying. I was like, hold off, girl. But no, impulsively bought them, and I have 30 more to put on my shelves. I can't even put these books on my shelves because I don't have room. I don't plan on reading it before the anime ends. I do want to read it after the anime ends. Why? Just, I don't know, because I do. But I'm excited. And if I totally forgot to say what this is about, but if you don't know what this is about, this takes place in like a post-apocalyptic world. The humans are going extinct because these giant things called titans are eating them. And the last of the humans live within these walled communities to save themselves from the titans. One day the walls are breached. So our main character, Eren Yeager, then he decides to join the military branch that goes outside the walls to kill the titans and to find out what the truth is about humanity. And it is so addicting. Season 1, you think you know where it's going. I shouldn't even say season 1 as a whole. Season 1, part 1, you think you know where it's going, and then as the show goes on, you're like, no the fuck I don't. I have no words. It's a wild time. My last 2 books are related to one another, and it's almost dropped it. Tokyo Ghoul Pass, Tokyo Ghoul Days. These are the Tokyo Ghoul light novels. They go off from the series. Like, I don't know if they're like necessarily canon. I don't know how like novels like these work within canon stories. They're like not necessarily like important. I think you can watch the anime and read the manga not knowing these. They're just basically side stories for people who love these characters. I need 1 more, and then I need to buy the actual box set of Tokyo Ghoul Re, and then my Tokyo Ghoul world is complete, besides the 2 art books. There's actually, the more I talk, the more I realize I have to buy to actually complete this series. Those were all the books I'm hauling, but I do have 6 Funko Pops I just want to show you because I went hard. So a lot of them are Avatar The Last Airbender. We got Admiral Zhao. We got my girl Katara. We have Ty Lee. Then we got my girl Korra. I actually really like this with all like the water and the fire and the earth surrounding her. I think this one's really cool. Oh, air is part of it too. I didn't see that. But then we also have a glow-in-the-dark Vanya from Umbrella Academy, and this is sold only at Target, so I had to grab it. And then impulsive buy is a limited edition Diamond Collection Sour Patch Kid that I bought at a candy store at Navy Pier in Chicago. You know when you're out with friends, usually you don't, like, usually I probably never would have bought this on my own, but you know when you're out with friends and you guys see something so bizarre and you just have to buy it because you're like with your friends, go big or go home. That's what this purchase was. Why not, you know? But that was it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. These have been sitting in a pile in the corner of my room, reminding me to make this video, and now that I made it, I could finally put these somewhere on my shelves or in a box or somewhere because my shelves have no room. If you like this video, give it a big thumbs up, comment, subscribe, y'all know the drill. And without further ado, I'm gonna peace out and I'll see you guys later. Ciao tutti.